down. And if anybody should have disowned me, it should have been her. You know, she should have been the one. She should have been the one to throw me out like
Hulk Hogan's troubled relationship with his daughter Brooke was never a secret, but no one realized how deep the damage truly went until now. After Hogan's death, a shocking message from Brooke to her father surfaced in court, throwing his entire will into chaos and putting her inheritance in jeopardy. There's even a chance she could be cut off completely. Here's the breakdown of the final messages that made a judge explode with anger. On July 24, 2025, the wrestling world was stunned by news that sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry and beyond. At 71 years old, Hulk Hogan, the legendary icon who defined an era of sports entertainment, passed away from cardiac arrest at his home in Clearwater, Florida. At first, the reports of Hogan's death seemed simple and straightforward.
Just before 10 a.m. today, Clearwater Fire and Rescue, along with the Clearwater Police Department, responded to a house in the 1000 block of El Dorado Avenue for a medical-related call. It was discovered at that time Terry Bollea, also known as Hulk Hogan, was experiencing a serious medical-related issue. Personnel provided medical treatment at that time and transported Mr. Bollea to Morton Plant Hospital, where he died at 11:17.
The authorities quickly stated there were no signs of foul play or suspicious activity, but the wrestling community knew this was not the end of the story. In the weeks leading up to his death, rumors had been spreading about Hogan's declining health. The whispers began with Bubba the Love Sponge, who claimed Hogan was facing serious medical issues. Hogan had recently undergone a major neck surgery, a 4-level interior cervical discectomy and fusion, an extremely intense procedure that affected not only his spine, but also his vocal cords and required breathing tubes during surgery. The revelation of Hogan's private communications came to light during the initial probate proceedings of his estate. Although Brooke had requested to be removed from her father's will months before his death to avoid financial disputes, legal requirements still demanded that family communications be reviewed to ensure the estate was handled according to Hogan's final wishes under Florida law. What the legal team discovered on Hogan's personal devices painted a heartbreaking picture of a man desperately trying to reconnect with his daughter while facing the pain of his past actions. The messages showed Hogan reaching out to Brooke during his final months, confiding in her about personal and business struggles, while Brooke admitted she felt disconnected when he made choices she believed were harmful to him. The judge overseeing the proceedings, who remained unnamed due to the sensitivity of the case, was reportedly shaken after reviewing the communications. Legal observers described the moment as rare judicial emotion, as the messages revealed the depth of pain and dysfunction in what had once been America's most famous wrestling family. Though the messages were not released in full, they revealed a father and daughter who loved each other deeply but could not bridge the gap created by years of hurt. Brooke's last conversation with her father took place 2 weeks before his wedding to Sky Daly in September 2023, where she expressed her love and concern for his health. The messages showed Hogan treated Brooke as both a daughter and a confidant, sharing his struggles and worries, but his later decisions, which she saw as harmful, drove them further apart. The revelation that Brooke had been excluded from her father's final medical procedures, despite attending nearly 25 of his previous surgeries, became more significant when paired with these private messages. They revealed her exclusion wasn't a matter of logistics or family politics, but the result of deliberate choices by Hogan's inner circle. Choices that kept a dying father from having his daughter by his side when he needed her most. The judge's emotional outburst reportedly came after reviewing messages showing Hogan's awareness that his marriage to Sky Daly had created what Brooke described as a force field around him, leaving him torn between loyalty to his new wife and his desire to reconnect with Brooke. This inner conflict ultimately contributed to his inability to mend their relationship. The most shocking revelation came from messages showing Hogan's private response to Brooke's March 2025 abuse allegations. While Hogan remained publicly silent about the controversy, the private messages revealed a man deeply conflicted, sometimes denying the allegations, sometimes expressing regret, and at other times appearing to acknowledge their truth. These messages, never meant for public view, painted the picture of a man wrestling with his conscience and unable to take the public steps that might have led to reconciliation. When Brooke released her public statement after Hogan's death, she said she felt at peace after receiving some form of apology from her father. The communications suggest that apology may have been delivered through intermediaries or in a final message that was not preserved in the digital record. representing one last attempt by a dying father to make peace with his estranged daughter. Brooke's proactive decision to request removal from her father's will also took on new meaning in light of these revelations. The messages showed her choice was not driven by anger or revenge but by a sincere desire to protect herself and her family from further pain. She told her father she wanted no part of his estate because she believed financial TIs would only prolong the toxic cycles that had already caused so much damage. These private messages exposed the depth of suffering both Hogan and Brooke endured and reopened old wounds about the Hogan family, revealing secrets no one had imagined. If fans thought Hulk Hogan's biggest controversies came from wrestling feuds or clashes with stars like The Undertaker, they were nothing compared to the fallout from his own daughter. Brooke didn't just step back, she reportedly excluded herself completely from her father's inheritance. The real bombshell came in March 2025, just 4 months before Hogan's death, when the family's private pain went public in the most devastating way. Brooke took to social media to accuse both of her parents of years of severe verbal, mental, and even physical abuse dating back to her childhood. Her Instagram post was explosive, detailing years of manipulation, lies, and being used as a pawn in her parents' conflicts. These were not vague claims or casual family arguments, but specific, detailed allegations that shattered Hulk Hogan's carefully built image as a devoted family man. The accusations were especially shocking because Brooke had long been her father's most loyal defender. When Hogan faced backlash over his racist comments in 2015, Brooke stood firmly by him, giving emotional interviews in his defense, words that now feel tragically ironic.
Your daughter posted a beautiful poem on Facebook. If you knew the dad I knew, you'd know he raised me well. He taught me folks are so much more than shades could ever.
Hogan's response to his daughter's public support had been equally emotional, proving how strong and genuine their bond was
At the lowest point of my life, my personal life was destroyed. I was very mad at my daughter. I was upset over a situation that happened between her and her boyfriend, and I had no idea I was being taped. I was to the point where I wanted to kill myself. I sat in my bathroom by myself when my ex-wife was gone and the kids were gone, and I was completely broken and destroyed, and I said, what's the easiest way out of this? I mean, I was lost.
By March 2025, the same daughter who had once defended Hulk Hogan so passionately was now making allegations that shook the very foundation of his legacy. The transformation from loyal defender to public accuser became one of the most dramatic reversals in celebrity family history. Brooke's detailed Instagram post described years of severe verbal and mental abuse that crushed her self-esteem, derailed her career, and damaged her personal relationships. These allegations weren't just about childhood pain but about how that pain followed her into adulthood, shaping unhealthy patterns in her own life. Brooke revealed she had made the difficult choice to cut off contact with both of her parents as part of a therapeutic effort to break the cycle of abuse. This wasn't a decision made in anger but the result of years of therapy and soul-searching, triggered by her near-death experience during the complicated C-section delivery of her twins. That life-or-death moment became her turning point. Facing her own mortality while bringing 2 new lives into the world forced her to confront the legacy she wanted to leave for her children. She refused to let Oliver and Molly grow up in the same toxic patterns she had endured, so she set firm boundaries with her parents. The twins, born in January 2025, carried names with deep meaning, Oliver even being named after Hogan himself. This choice reflected the complicated love Brooke still had for her father, honoring him through her children despite the pain and anger between them. Linda Hogan's response to the allegations was swift and fiery, sparking a public social media war. Linda called Brooke a narcissist like her father, strongly denied the abuse claims, admitted only to a single spanking, and dismissed Brooke's accusations as the product of a reckless party girl past. Her reaction showed just how deep the rift between mother and daughter had grown. Linda also revealed that the family hadn't known about Brooke's marriage to Stephen Alexi or the birth of the twins, proving how complete the estrangement had become. Brooke's husband, Stephen, stepped in to defend her, providing context about the family's dysfunction and confirming Brooke's account. He claimed he had witnessed the toxic dynamics firsthand and said his attempts to mediate had been met with hostility from Hogan's side of the family. The most striking part of this crisis was what it revealed about Hulk Hogan himself. His response was quiet and private. standing in sharp contrast to the public feud between Brooke and Linda. Those close to him said he was devastated by the allegations and heartbroken to see such personal family pain unfold in public. The accusations were damaging not just because of their content, but because of their timing. Hogan's health had already been in decline, and insiders said the emotional stress from the public conflict was taking a severe toll on his physical and mental health. The mix of declining health and public humiliation created a storm that many feared he would not survive. The controversy also reignited discussion about the Hogan family's reality show, Hogan Knows Best, which had once turned their dysfunction into entertainment for millions. What had once been shown as a loving but overprotective father was now being reinterpreted as controlling and manipulative behavior. Scenes once played for laughs, Hogan installing GPS trackers on Brooke's car or intimidating her boyfriends, were now viewed as signs of unhealthy control. Even Hogan's investment of over $3 million into Brooke's music and wrestling career, once framed as support for her dreams, was now seen by some as another form of control. Therapists pointed out this could be considered financial abuse, where money comes with conditions and expectations of loyalty. The wrestling world was left grappling with how to process these revelations, questioning whether Hulk Hogan's carefully crafted public persona had ever truly matched the man behind closed doors. Hogan had endured years of public relations crises, from the racist comments that got him fired from WWE to lawsuits and political controversies. But these family abuse allegations cut far deeper than any scandal about his public image or political views. These accusations struck at the core of who Terry Bollea was as a man, a father, and a human being. Brooke claimed that the dysfunction in their family and her father's many controversies had seriously damaged her career, proving this wasn't just about childhood pain but about trauma that followed her into adulthood, affecting her work and her ability to build healthy relationships. What made it even more heartbreaking was how completely it went against everything Hogan had always claimed to stand for. Throughout his career, he had portrayed himself as a family man who put his loved ones above everything else. His reality show, interviews, and entire public image were built on the idea that no matter what, he was a devoted father who would do anything for his children. But Brooke's March 2025 allegations shattered that image, exposing a family life that was far more complicated and painful than anyone had realized. The tragedy deepened when considering that real efforts had been made to repair the relationship, with Brooke's husband, Stephen Alexi, reportedly trying to mediate and bring peace, especially after the birth of the twins, which had seemed like a chance for a new beginning. Yet the family drama was only one part of Hogan's complicated life. His long, successful career had been overshadowed by scandals that left lasting marks on his legacy. And by the time of his death, it was impossible to separate his final years from the controversies that defined them. The man who was once the ultimate symbol of American heroism and family values spent his last years fighting scandals, lawsuits, and public relations disasters that forever changed how fans and the entertainment world saw him. The biggest blow to Hogan's reputation came in 2015 when a secretly recorded conversation revealed him using racial slurs while talking about his daughter's relationship with an African-American man. The leak came during his legal battle with Gawker Media, and the comments were so offensive that WWE cut all ties with him immediately and erased his name from their history. In a later interview, when asked about those remarks, Hogan tried to explain what had been going through his mind at the time.
Are you a racist?
No, I'm not. I'm not a racist. I never should have said what I said. It was wrong. I'm embarrassed by it. But a lot of people need to realize that you inherit things from your environment.
When directly asked if he was a racist, Hogan replied, "Are you a racist? No, I'm not. I never should have said what I said. It was wrong, and I'm embarrassed by it. But people need to realize that you inherit things from your environment." His effort to explain his words by pointing to his upbringing received mixed reactions, with some seeing it as helpful context and others viewing it as an excuse. The racist comment scandal was especially damaging because it completely clashed with the values Hogan had spent decades promoting. His real American persona was built on patriotism and equality, which made the revelation of his private bigotry even more shocking for fans who had admired him as a role model. But those comments were just one chapter in the long list of controversies that surrounded Hogan's later years. The very circumstances that led to those Recordings were connected to another massive scandal, the infamous sex tape controversy that dominated headlines for years and became one of the most high-profile privacy lawsuits in entertainment history. The tape had been secretly recorded by Bubba the Love Sponge, Hogan's former friend and radio host, during an affair Hogan had with Bubba's then-wife, Heather Clem. Back in 2006, when parts of the tape